The Witch's Garden. Maeve's gnarled hands moved with practiced precision as she carefully tended the lush garden behind her quaint cottage. The air was thick with the heady aroma of herbs and flowers, each plant carefully chosen and nurtured for its magical properties. As the first rays of dawn kissed the dewy leaves, Maeve began her daily ritual. She moved from plant to plant, whispering ancient words of power and gratitude. Her fingers lovingly caressed each leaf and petal, infusing them with her own magical essence. At the center of the garden stood an ancient rowan tree, its branches heavy with clusters of bright red berries. Maeve paused before it, closing her eyes and placing her palm against its rough bark. She could feel the tree's life force pulsing beneath her touch, a steady rhythm that matched the beating of her own heart. "Old friend," she murmured, "what wisdom do you have for me today?" A gentle breeze rustled through the rowan's leaves, and Maeve listened intently to its whispers. The tree spoke of change on the horizon, of a shift in the magical currents that flowed through the earth. Maeve nodded solemnly, understanding the weight of this message. As she continued her circuit of the garden, Maeve's attention was drawn to a patch of wolfsbane tucked away in a shadowy corner. The purple flowers seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, and she felt a chill run down her spine. Something was stirring in the spirit realm, something that required her immediate attention. Maeve hurried back to her cottage, her mind already racing with preparations for the ritual she would need to perform. She gathered her tools, a silver athame, a bundle of dried sage, a piece of smoky quartz, and a vial of consecrated water from the nearby sacred spring. Returning to the garden, Maeve cleared a small space near the wolfsbane and began to cast her circle. As she moved clockwise, sprinkling salt and chanting softly, she could feel the veil between worlds growing thin. The air shimmered with unseen energies, and the plants around her seemed to lean in, eager to lend their power to her working. With the circle cast, Maeve knelt at its center and closed her eyes. She reached out with her magical senses, probing the spirit realm for the source of the disturbance. Slowly, a vision began to form in her mind's eye, a dark entity, ancient and hungry, attempting to breach the barriers between worlds. Maeve's lips set in a determined line. She had faced such threats before, and she knew what needed to be done. Drawing on the combined power of her garden allies, she began to weave a complex spell of protection and banishment. As her chant grew louder, the plants around her began to sway and pulse with energy. Tendrils of green light rose from the earth, twining around Maeve's arms and merging with her own aura. She could feel the rowan tree's strength flowing through her, the sharp clarity of the wolfsbane, the protective power of the rosemary and sage. With a final, resounding word of power, Maeve released the spell. A burst of radiant energy exploded outward from her circle, rippling through the physical and spiritual planes. She felt the dark entity recoil and retreat, driven back by the combined force of her will and the garden's magic. As the energy dissipated, Maeve slumped forward, exhausted but triumphant. She placed her palms on the cool earth, sending silent thanks to the plants that had aided her. In return, she felt waves of warmth and affection flowing back to her from the garden. Slowly, Maeve rose to her feet and opened the circle. The morning sun had fully risen now, bathing the garden in golden light. As she looked around at her beloved plants, Maeve felt a renewed sense of purpose and connection to the natural world. She knew that as long as she tended this magical garden with love and respect, she would always have the power to face whatever challenges the universe might send her way. With a contented sigh, Maeve returned to her cottage to brew a well-deserved cup of restorative herbal tea, already looking forward to tomorrow's communion with her garden allies. The end.